Hi everyone, welcome back. This is Karthik from iTeLearn. Day 3 for our Python training. I'm going to make quickly a copy of this Python day 3 and let's talk about what we want to do. Briefly on what we did in day 2 and then continue. So remember team, day 1 was very simple. Oops. We set aside a project that we will work on, correct? And we said instead of rather learning it theoretically, let's take a project. We'll go through the project again as we get along. But then we said, now how do we get started with the basic programming? So for that, we said, let's talk about the logic and all that later. In the day 2, we went about installing Python and getting the proper IDE for it, your integrated development environment. So we're using PyCharm team, open source, community edition, and using which we are writing a simple programs in Python. So as we went along, a lot of notes that we took. Briefly, let's read these notes and also look at our PyCharm on the side. So a lot of codes here, team. If you notice in my scripts, it can confuse us, external libraries also. Let me see, a lot of these can be easily deleted. I don't even need them. Okay, let me, oopsie, from here to here, but I know some of this, it will not let me delete automatically. And I'll say delete to the others. I don't want to delete my R code. Those are only 3 ones, right? What? Oh, looking for usages. Oh, nice, not bad. I hope my R code will work. So right click again, run. So the whole thing, it was setting it up nicely and now it's in a challenge. So I have these 3 codes. At least let me keep them as they are scripts, and these 3 codes, copy them, and I'm gonna safely put them somewhere, team. Maybe here. Python July files. Why would I do that? Just when we were getting going. Okay, let's recreate. Let's see if we can recreate a project. Okay, so file, new project. This is what we were doing. And let's give it a name, py project 2 in this case, and say create. Projects can be either this window. It's taking time. Okay, let's see. And in my scripts, it's got all these other dependencies. Let them be as they are, team. I'm not going to disturb that, but I'm going to right click here and show in Explorer. Once I click on show in Explorer, I have my scripts, and here I don't have the other scripts that I just created, correct? Python. So, oh no, where was it? Hmm. Sorry, I'm taking a little time, team. There you go. Let me take from here. Copy. Must be there already copied. And paste it. Remember the folder structure. So now, at this time, I didn't even have to refresh and it's come up. Now, third code, underscore if did I write? Why would I write an if statement here? But run it. At least we get some information. Okay, good. So there's our code back. A little goof up with me trying to play around too much on it. So what is it that we were looking at, team? These points, very important. Critically, they'll map up to what we're trying to achieve. So easy with UX features. So don't go too hard on yourself. A lot of things are here. So we'll go step by step, like we see, right? Don't try and master everything right away. Created a new project and a new Python file. So now this was the third code. So I can go here, right click and say new Python file. And using this, I just gonna give it and I'll say this is the fourth code. All right. And that's all. And then I'm gonna put there. I don't think third code, I wanted to put an underscore if there. Not yet. So anyway, extension of every Python program is .py. Python looks to write code more like English, team. So as you see the code, the third code, let's go through first code to the last code. Where's the first test? Open this. Second. Now we have all these. So here's my first test. So we knew how we could print something to the console. So when we run this, whatever we give in double quotes or also single quotes in the brackets. So there are three things that you need to note, team. Okay. One are pre-built commands like print or if statement and so on. Actually, I used if statement here. Okay. So and else and so on. So these are predefined as to what they mean for it. Then there are variables that we create. And then there is anything within double quotes or single quotes taken as is. Okay, your code is all built on it. But pretty much English like speaking, cause unlike other programming languages, it doesn't have a to end with a semicolon or anything else. Blank spaces don't mean anything. Ifs don't need a curl brackets to say that this is my loop and so on. So subtle things as we keep going along, you'll notice that they would be different maybe with any other programming language that you've seen. If you've not seen any other programming languages, that's fine too. Reduce as many unnecessary commands or special characters. So that's what it does. So blank lines used for aesthetics so that we know what is for what. No semicolons or other characters, one line per statement. That is what it does. One line per statement. So we're not trying to, in Java or other code, you can add more that way. Spaces and tabs become very critical. And this is very important, team. Don't forget this. This spacing of a line is not a problem. So I can have my code this file anyway. The file does not belong to this project. I copied pasted. Okay. So and the same here. These blank lines don't mean anything, team. But these spaces or tabs here mean a lot. So this tab basically means that these two lines of code belong to whatever the parent was before it. These two lines of code belong to whatever this is parent above it. Same structure will keep continuing as we keep understanding more, team. So what else? Easiest condition in Python is a if statement. So what is an if statement? What is it we're trying to achieve with an if statement? Very simple. The highlighted text is checked for condition. If that condition is true, then you do a certain thing. Else you do certain things, certain other things. So that diversification in terms of what you must do at what point is this condition specifying. So if you know as a human, is 250 greater than 500? No. So 7 and 8 get skipped. It would come to else and it would print these steps. And let's execute this. My first test. So Control Shift F10. And it says my first line so and so. It says true. 250 is less than 500. All right. So that is how a simple comparison is done. What about the second code? What is it that we did? We took this print statement. Okay. We started speaking a little bit about variables to hold data, team. So we're speaking that variables can hold information. You can change them as we go along. You can start storing data and on. All right. Now, what is it that I wanted to do today? Fourth code, nothing here. Ting, ting, ting. Something that I wanted to really cover. Okay, let's start with another fourth code, team. Okay, very basic. You remember our project? We spoke about a project, and that project basically had a lot to do with those few Excel sheets, right? Now, anytime you look at how things happen, so we have all contacts, we have iPhone contacts, we have Gmail contacts, and all contacts. So this is how we want sheet 1, sheet 2, sheet or x1, x2, x3, everything merged into x3. That is the expected result from this. So before we get there, let's talk a little bit about numbers team and little math operators to get our feet wet within Python. And then we will get into more of variables and lists. That will be for tomorrow. So let's open a new one in Python. I'm going to expand this. And here we're going to talk a little bit about math. So I'm going to say rename this, rename file, and fourth code underscore um, math. A few math operators team. So primarily you will understand that there are numbers team as we look at, right? So there are two types of numbers that Python looks at. Actually, three types of numbers. The first is something called as an integer, all right, like a 10. Now, what is an integer? Can someone tell me? So how do we write block comment like this? Three single quotes. What is an integer team? Can it be a positive number or negative number? Positive or negative number. And what is the other qualification? Exactly. No decimal points. No decimal points in it. So then what happens to B equals 20.5. All right. And here is where we can start looking at numbers team. If I say print A, it would print A as simple as it is print B, and it would print B. So Control Shift F10 to run this, and 10 and 20.5. So you're seeing them as numbers team. For Python, it looks at it as two things. There's an integer, and the second is a float. A float is any number automatically given as soon as it recognizes that what did I want to say? It's got a decimal or so on. The third one, and I don't even know how to call that team, is a very large number. Okay, so how do I put it? Like 35E4 could be a number. A large scientific number. Now, where do scientific numbers come into place, team? Of course, it does. But as you get finite and finite into industries, maybe defense, maybe finance, maybe space, and so on, maybe a lot of AI as well, you'll see them being applied. But just the fact that there are these three types of numbers. So you have um, integer, float, and you have a scientific. All right. Now, there are a lot of things you could do on this numbers team, and I want you to really start using a Google search to be able to. Let us say I want to find the type of the numbers. Okay. Python. So first thing you say Python find number type. All right. It is a very simple way, but you want to be able to exactly search and get that value. And how do we put that into place? How to determine? So Stack Overflow is a great resource team for you to look at. And team, earlier versions of Python to the current have changed significantly. So look at it, type V. So print type of the variable name. This is the one that we're using. So I want you to always keep the search on when you're trying programming. You can never truly remember everything. So this should print the type of A. Let's see, Control Shift F10. And it says the class of this number is an integer. So the same, if I copy for B and then the C, let's see, F10. Oopsie, Control Shift F10. So float, I don't know why it's staying. So maybe it's too small a number to show as this. The other resource that I really liked, at least for Java, and a lot on other things, HTML, not Java, HTML basically, is w3schools.com team. So that's got some tremendous resources that you can quickly learn, just as quick reference. Now, once you learn these basics, it's easy for us to put them into a project. So where are we? Python. We're talking about numbers. Did they discuss variables and okay, just number, and we have not done that yet. So we're talking about numbers. Int complex, yeah, the scientific numbers. So 1j is complex. So let's try this number called 1j here. Okay, so copy this, a complex number, a lot of decimals in it. Could be comment this whole thing. Where's my hash? And what was it? 1j. I don't even know what that number. Someday I will sit down a little bit more on that. Control Shift F10, and there you go. Int float complex. So this is the number that we are able to define and work with. Then basically your math operator teams operated in terms of additions, adding numbers. Very simple, keep them in memory, it's very easy. So if I say now C equals A plus B, all right, what happens to C team? I want to print type of C and also the value of C. But before we print, can you guess what would happen? And this is where we slowly will start getting smarter. So A has 10 and B has 20.5. Let's assume that it's going to add it as number. It'll become 30.5. So will it be a float or an int or a complex number? I'm assuming that this should be 30.5 and it should become a complex number. Let's see what we get at the end. So Control Shift F10. You got a really not complex, but it is a complex float. I meant you should start playing around a lot, team, one after the other. Now, how about multiplying numbers and see how easily assignment is going? One of the biggest things that you'll notice, where are my notes? Different browser window, day 3. So team, okay, I'll just write number types. So let's take the code and put it maybe. No, I didn't write anything. Int, float, and complex, right? This is like 10, like 56.55. Complex is 1j, was it that we wrote? Okay, yeah. And second things comes, there is no necessity to declare variable, all right? So look at C now. It was complex earlier and it has now changed itself to float. And they basically type can change based on the data coming in. So whatever data is there, it's going to try and take that type. So what if I multiply 20.5 by 100? What would it give? So let's say multiply. So I will say now C equals B, which is 20.5 times 100. And again, I'm going to print C and check the type of it. Control Shift F10. So it says 2050. It retained the decimal. It did not lose it. It did not automatically convert it back into um, an integer, though it had the option. It did not. It retained it back to remain to be float team. But the number is definitely casted there. Let's look at subtraction. That should be pretty easy. Now team, if I say a equals minus 200 and B equals 100. And if I say print A plus B, what should be the result? Can you all tell me, please? Everyone, minus 200 plus 100. What is the result? And this is the basic level of math that you all need to get a custom team with. It's not tricky, but we need that requires focus. Team, there's only one right answer. There cannot be multiple. And I've got response from only 40% of you, 30% of you. Everyone, check for yourself. I'm saying minus 100. Why? Minus 200 and 100, right? Maybe this could have been easier to look at. So whenever you have a larger negative number and use a smaller one, it still will remain negative. But if I say A equals 200 and my B equals 100, regular numbers, and I say print A minus B, it is giving me the subtraction of it anytime. And this could be positive or negative. For it, it does not matter. If I say now print B minus A, then what will happen? And oops. So here, let's keep things a little odd. So we get something like this, okay? And now if I hit, so there's a A minus B, B minus A. 3, 4, 2, A minus B. So Control Shift F10. So whatever be it, what? Oh, wow. I was thinking, how could it give me a perfect round digit number? I definitely, for microsecond, I thought I did something wrong. Then I checked, it is like that. So if I kind of take this away and do something else, and Control Shift F10. So I'm seeing 1995, 1995, but be it A minus B or B minus A, the fact is a simple subtraction team. How you can subtract simple numbers. Last is division. Division only becomes a little tricky when you try and do something with a zero and so on, but otherwise straightforward. Let's say A is 350 and B equals 50. So if I say C equals A by B, that is all we're doing, dividing. So A divided by B, and if I want to print C and the value. See how I'm building the code one by one. That is how you should keep thinking. What if, and keep doing it. So whenever you do a division team, by default, it is adding it as a float, though it's a perfect 7, but it does not know if the decimals coming in. So a couple of times you've seen it is assuming it to be float, and that's fine. Programming languages do a lot of assumptions. A couple of more here and there should not be a problem. Print C, type C. So we've done that. Now, same thing if I do with something like this, so that it doesn't necessarily have a rounded number. It would still have a float and it is gone all the way. Now you can do a lot of things over this team in terms, especially on where do you want to truncate special things on need basis. Let us look at it for now. This is the basic things that we could cover so far on this. Any questions, please? I want to maybe also talk a little bit about strings. Is it going the way you're expecting, team? Anyone lost, saying where am I, or pretty much dull, boring? How is it going, team? Can I get a feedback? Fifth code, strings. Oh, there'll be a lot of things, exception handlings and so on. So we'll get there, team. One up. Okay, great. What is it that I want to do with strings? Now, let's go back to the project. Our project had the Excel sheets, correct? So let's talk about one sheet, team. I know I need a first name, last name, and email. So what I will do very smartly, I'm just playing around. Okay, this is not how we typically want to start writing code, but I want to create a few variables. All right. So do I have to say int or string or something? No. I just have to put the data. So this is Gmail, right? So I'll say G first name, correct? Gmail first name equals, let's take one sample data and put that there. And then G last name equals A. Can I write A like this? It's not even taking A and space and enter. How is it taking A? What will it do if I say Control Shift F10? See, yeah, it does not know what A is, so it would give an error. Anyway, in quotes, I'm giving A team. A lot of these concepts slowly they'll get created. Third one, email, and here's my email address. Okay, where do I put it? I'll say G email. Now, I want you to take a second and focus on how I did this thing. Number one, so simple to create variables. No declaration, no initialization, everything in one line, done. The way I put it, team, is something called as a camel case, and it can be longer also. Camel case is very simple, and I'll write it maybe in words. G email. Where are we? Python day 3. Let me put it up here. Camel case. So in the world of IT team, I'm not sure. I'm sure most of you are used to it. There's like standards and some kind of um, within project way of doing things. All right. So we get used to short cases and so on. Instead of writing now, if I want to name variables and so on, I can't use space. Now, for a reader standing far away, or when we want to quickly read a code, it becomes tough when we give things. So one of the ways to do it is called camel case. Now, the camel case is very simple. How it goes is very simple. First letter of all words are uppercase except the first word. All right. Let us say I want to write example, date of birth. Date of birth like this as a label on a website is okay, but as a field inside a programming language is not good. So what do I do for it? Camel case will be date of birth. Does it fit this equation? First letter of all words are uppercase, yes, except the first word. Let us say users savings account balance. See, if I write it in English with spaces or without spaces, it's easy. So the whole intent in the last decade team of programming has to be try and make it very English centric, keep things simple. That is one of the styles of writing a variable or a function and so on. I just left it as G rather than writing Gmail just because it's too long. Now these three, that's great. Can I have similar data? Is Nita there in the iPhone contacts also? Excellent. So I will create three more. Since they're similar, I'll just put this. Is it Gmail? Now this is I, right? iPhone contact. So this is easy. iPhone first name. See how we getting there? And number. Is that, are these only two fields? Cool, even better for us. First name and I number. Got this? Now, my number is what team? 1, 2, 3, 4 or something like that I wrote, correct? 1, 2, 3, 4. And I don't have here. So just so we don't forget it after 6 months or anyone else coming in can understand, Gmail contact variables. And then here are my iPhone contact variables. Now, question to us comes up, hey, but we have only covered one row in each. What about the remaining rows? Let's do it for first for one row. Let's understand the process of doing it for one row. Then we can get to the other rows. All right. So now what we're trying to do is this information team. Somewhere I may want to know the type of these variables. So I can say print the type and Google first name. And let's say again, I want to print 1, 2, 3, oops, I number. What should the output be, team? Can everyone tell me what will be the exact output? How many lines will come as an output? Forget the first and the last line. How many lines would come? 2 lines. Just the name and the number. And let's run it. Control Shift F10. Where is it? Okay, there you go. String and int. That's all we wanted as well. Now, where is it that I wanted to do something else out here? Last name, email, I number. Okay, now comes the next sheet. What is the next sheet? The third one, which is my all contacts, correct? In that, I have all these columns. So let's create this. This is my output. Output, and this becomes all contacts. So team, like give a lot of emphasis to aesthetics. Okay, all contacts is here. This is now, I'll just do one thing. Output, like important. Tick, tick, tick. Here's my input, correct, everyone? So for this program, my input starts here and my output is out here. So all contacts will then have, I'll say A, first name equals, I don't know. So I will simply put them into comments and I know that I'm gonna then take it to the next thing. Then I have A last name equals A, sorry team effort, but we have no other option. Email equals A number. No, A first name again. No, that will not come. A number will come and that's it equals. All right. Now, what is it that we are trying to do? Can you think of the logic for one record? And then maybe we can replicate it for multiple records. Email comes under string. Yeah, automatically it will give it as a string. All right. So this is what my final output is. Why is it blank? Because I've not put the logic. Now I'll start putting the logic team. When will I do this? Under what condition? My condition is if the first name matches, then add data, then merge data. Make sense? So then I'll say how do I know if my first name is matching? So let me undo this. So if G first name equals I first name colon, is it correct or should I equal double equal to something out here for Python? I think so for strings. I'm not sure. I'll come to it. When you're working with 3, 4 programming languages, your syntax can go for a toss. Then I'll say, first I'll just print team. Names matched. All right. Oopsie. And names match starting to merge. Make sense? That is what we're going to do. Else, what do we do? I don't know yet. If they don't match, what do I do? Not sure yet. Maybe create a new record, right? So we have to figure that out. But for now, let's take it one step at a time. Now they matched, then great. Here's my first name will become the same as this because it's the same thing. My last name will come again from here. My email is also coming from the first sheet. And my number is coming from the last one. Makes sense, everyone? As simple as it is, right? And now we can maybe print these out. Yeah, why not? Print new record added. So instead of printing them in multiple lines, I'll just print them all in one line. I'm losing a little aesthetic theme as I look at the clock and want to achieve a few things, but that's fine. Okay, print new record added. So basically I'll say a first name. Okay. 3 of these. Oops, no. Plus this. I'm going to confuse myself. Not bad. So let's run this. Is this red an issue? Why is it an issue? Let's take it. Click or press Alt. Inject language or reference. What are you trying to say? Let's run. Syntax error. Something is wrong here. Oh, I gave a comment. Oh, else there is nothing. Print names don't match. Action pending. Now we good. Control Shift F10. Type error, not in ting 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 ting. Let's see. Where is it a type error? Here. Because number is an integer, right? Team. And we have been running it like a string. So all I have to do is say, make it a string and then close the brackets. So team, a few things only I've introduced. One of the basic things, if you open a bracket, close it. Remember that. And with the IDEs, it will start automatically typing it for you. So be careful if you're opening too many or closing too many. Now it should be good. Let's see. And here's our code. So first we did a few things. Names match, starting to merge, new record added. Nita A N.A 1 2 3 4. Now where is the team? Is it in the spreadsheet? Is it added here? Is it anywhere? What happened to these variables? What happened to this data that we created, that we've built all this? Where are they now? In a programming language, whatever you create, okay, is born out here and for sure will die at the end of the program. That's it. There's no longer a variable called first name, last name, or email that Python or my machine will know. So let us say, let us assume in a strange scenario that there are 10,000 variables team. Okay, lot of data, correct? And if this data is not closed, then constantly that application is getting wasted. So we close out everything. Everything comes out of it, not only for that reason, but that's the life of the variable in that scope only. So whatever we did is just to see what we've done, but we have not really put it into an output anywhere. And that's fine, not a problem. Where are we in our project? I think we have done it successfully for one record where we got one record and did it. Now we have to do it for multiple records. What if I have these records? I have these records, then what do I do? I have these records, then how do I do it? Knowing it that I have these. And that's when we'll get into a little list and see how they are different from arrays, how that works. Team, from my side, that's it from for today. I just thought I'll get started. There's some more string methods and so on that I wanted you to get exposed to, but we will as we go along. Where was W3 schools that I opened? There you go. Casting is simple. Casting is easy. Converting it into different so like we converted in string, we can convert into different ones. Strings, where you can basically talk about if a character is present in it, or find the characters between one to the other and so on, team. So we'll look at some of those examples also out here like this. This will become more interesting as you get deeper, but good to know that, okay, these things exist. That is how we look at. They may not be directly applicable for a project work. Python operators, ting, 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 ting. Yeah, I think we're covering a few percentile to the power of, I don't know what floor division. I don't even know what this is, team. Python lists, that is what we will get to. Tuples, sets, and a few things here. And basically being able to understand a lot of these things, team. Once we get there, it's pretty easy. You'll understand. Python is not a tough language at all. Very, very straightforward and easy. Team, that's it from my side for today. I'll see you back tomorrow unless there are questions from your end. All right, great. Thank you, everyone. See you tomorrow then. Bye all. Thank you.